Good afternoon and welcome to the Burnside Bowling Club in Christchurch for coverage of the National Interclub Sevens, and we are bringing to you a women's quarterfinal. Queenstown top qualifiers from Section 1 taking on Takapuna, runners-up in Section 4, and it is Christine Buchanan, very experienced player, taking on Selena Smith, current blackjack, and what promises to be a very interesting singles contest. We also have the pairs and fours taking place alongside here on this green, the Orchard Green at Burnside Bowling Club, which we'll keep you up to date with as well. But our feature of our live streaming this afternoon will be women's singles, Christine Buchanan up against Selena Smith. I'm Brenton Vanissroy. With me in commentary is Kevin Hickland. Very good afternoon to you, Kevin.
Yes, good afternoon, Brenton, and it's nice to start this commentary off with a big congratulations to Peter Bellis and Reen Stratford, who is now Reen Bellis. They walked down the aisle yesterday, and so on behalf of everybody, all the best to the newly married couple.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not here. Honeymoon at Burnside wasn't on the cards.
No, so
the legend, of course, New Zealand bowls, Peter Bellis and Reen Stratford. Now Reen Bellis.
Reen Bellis, absolutely.
Fantastic bowler in own right as well. As we see Queenstown taking on Takapuna. So Queenstown, of course, out of Central Otago. We had the pleasure of being down there just over a month ago for the Somerset National Fours and mixed pairs that followed, the Alexandra Club and Takapuna, the North Harbour Centre.
Christine Buchanan, Brenton, just recently won her 41st Central Otago title. Just won only but a couple of weeks ago, won the champion-to-champion singles, giving her 41st Central Otago title, along with a number of very good finishes in national championships. Played in a couple of finals, and of course part of that New Zealand over 60 side that played in the Trans-Tasman last year. But 41 centre titles, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing, and just shows the calibre. Oh, Christine Buchanan, very strong player, but she's got a big challenge here against Selena Smith. And the form at the National Interclub 7 so far in Christchurch, Christine Buchanan has won 3 of her 6 singles matches, while Selena Smith a perfect 5 from 5 in the singles discipline. One major reason why Takapuna have made it to this stage. Runners-up in Section 4 behind Carlton Cornwall, who were one of the section winners, like Queenstown. Nainai and Nelson also section winners. Nainai taking on Henueta. And by my calculations, Henueta have made it in both the men's and women's quarterfinals, so a big congratulations to that club. I think there was 3 clubs which were represented in both here at the National Interclub Sevens, both women and men. And Henueta made it through the last 8 of both, which is a great testament to that small club in the Waikato.
Small but strong.
Absolutely.
They've certainly got a great record as the Henueta club, of course. And you'd literally call it the home of the Settles. That's really how it all came about. And of course, the club, where the green is situated, was in fact grandfather Settles' farm, and then of course it became the Henueta Bowling Club.
And see Lisa White just passing by at a 9-eye as well. They have had a great run through section plate, so that's also taking place here on the Orchard Green at Burnside Bowling Club. 9-eye taking on Henueta. We'll keep you up to date with that quarterfinal as best as we can. Of course, tomorrow we will be live streaming a semi-final and then a final for you as well. Semi-final from around 8:30 and the final from around midday, as Christine Buchanan out of Queenstown Club draws the first toucher.
Well, Brenton, certainly in both the men and the women's sections, we've seen what you would call the powerhouses in some regard of the clubs get through. But in the women, Kerry, did they make
I believe so, yeah. Still waiting for the actual final draws, but just from going through, it looked like Kerry had done enough. So we'll wait confirmation of that. Unfortunately, that if they are here, they're on the other side, and that's why you've only just seen Henueta and Nine arrived, because all the women were playing elsewhere for the first couple of rounds today. So the men were here. They've now gone to Fendalton for their quarterfinals, and all the women have come here for their last 8 matches. So that's why some have been arriving a bit later than others.
So Selena Smith coming up on this very first end to have a look after with her third bowl. She rested on the Buchanan shot bowl, and looking from our monitor here, the pinky bowl of Christine Buchanan sitting literally jack level. It looks as though it could be a shot bowl, but a good chance, of course, here, though, for Selena Smith to make contact and move the jack, and Brenton will be able to confirm everything now. We've just had all the receipts given to us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex Reid. Fresh out of the chart room, I can feel
they're warm. They're hot.
They're hot off the press. So obviously we have the quarterfinal that we're bringing to you, Queenstown against Takapuna. Nainai and Henueta also on the screen, as mentioned. Nelson and Kerry. So out of the far north centre, Kerry. That's a great story. And then Carlton Cornwall out of Auckland against Nongataha out of Bay of Plenty.
So here's Selena Smith looking for the jack. Got the wrong side of the jack though. Moved it out to the side. Could still be 1-2. Christine Buchanan. Jack just went back a couple of feet.
Yeah, it's interesting. I might even favour the Selena Smith bowl just from our picture. But wait and see what Buchanan can do. Might make it redundant anyway. Coming on that wider side.
It's a touch on the jack. It's a bonus for a Brendan, that's for sure.
I wasn't far away from getting that touch on the jack to move towards her bowls.
Only a feather away from getting the perfect result. And the way how Selena Smith strode, you're correct, Brendan. It's 1-2.
Yeah, she kept hold of the mat, wasn't going to give it up. So Takapuna on the board first here in the singles in this women's quarterfinal, 1-0. Selena Smith leading Christine Buchanan in this first 2:21. Also have the finals confirmed, the men's quarterfinal action. And it's Mount Maunganui, who were winners of Section 1 out of Bay of Plenty, taking on Browns Bay. Runners-up from Section 4 of North Harbour, of course. The powerhouse Stoke Club, previous winners of this competition, against North East Valley. That's a quarterfinal to look forward to. And you've got Mike Kernahan going up against Shannon McElroy, of course, in the singles. Teams. Stokes Valley out of Wellington, who have been dominant, pretty much just like Nainai as well, out of the Wellington. And the women, very dominant in section play. They're taking on Henueta, and Elmwood Park taking on Takaro out of Manawatu. So the powerhouses are there. Elmwood Park, Stokes Valley, Stoke.
Interesting though, Brendan, Browns Bay must have had a great last round to get to second place in their section, because I think they were sitting fourth, and of course West End from Taranaki didn't make their way through, so I think they may have been in the same section, but Browns Bay must have had a big last round, as we watched Selena Smith, who drew a toucher.
Yeah, we had both West End clubs in Section 4, didn't we? West End out of South Canterbury and West End out of Taranaki, and they were all in the mix. And so Browns Bay, congratulations to them. They have emerged from that section along with Elmwood Park, who are the winners of the section.
It's another one of the strong sides, of course, isn't it? The Gary Lawson in that side, and a number of the very, very good combinations in that. The Elmwood Park side.
Yeah, when you look at players who have won this title before, Gary Lawson 3 times, Shannon McElroy 3 times, Mike Carroll 4 times.
4 times?
Yeah, Mike Carroll.
Oh, of course, because with
Eastbourne,
of course.
All 4 times with Eastbourne.
Correct, yeah, I've forgotten about the Eastbourne factor.
Yeah, they got the 3 titles. I think Gary Lawson was only there for 2 in that run of 3 from 2016 to 2018.
Had a combination player, like there was Jamie Hill, Justin Goodwin.
They were a very strong side.
They certainly were, as we see Selena Smith holding 2, in fact, sitting right on top of the jack. This bowl at Christine Buchanan's may well get the second shot, will it? No, just going to go by.
So in the pairs for Queenstown, it's Margaret O'Connor, the skip, and Deborah Lloyd up against Lisa Parlane and Anne Doreen. Takapuna, and in the 4s, And it's the Jane Anderson skip Queenstown 4 featuring Andrea Dowman, Liz Anderson and Kath Mann up against Wendy Jensen's skip quartet, also with Robin Walker, Adele Einerson and Connie Matheson for Takapuna. So we'll keep you up to date with those as well. What's that? Must be called a fresh afternoon in Christchurch, but given what we had this morning, Kevin, we're very thankful we're able to play.
It was very damp this morning, that's for sure. It was pretty heavy raindrops we got first thing this morning, and of course it curtailed the time factor of the second to last round. That to change things around a wee bit, but we're fortunate. We're out here. We're going to get through the day without any problems whatsoever, as we see Christine Buchanan trying to get down to the shot bowl of Selena Smith, and desperately unlucky, all but touch the shot bowl and just skip past.
What was the second shot there?
Could well be 3.
Certainly looked like it. We'll wait for confirmation on the board. But big end for Selena Smith, and as I said, she's been unbeatable so far at these National Interclub Sevens. Of course, a past national champion in the singles, also been a runner-up at the Somerset Nationals in this discipline. A very strong player, and will no doubt be one of those putting her hand up for this responsibility with New Zealand now that Jo Edwards has announced her retirement.
Certainly would be, and we know that when the initial World Bowls side was announced, it was Selena Smith was very, very disappointed at that point when she missed out on selection, but she's just put her head down, and it was a 3, so she's jumped out to a 4-0 lead.
Great work from Tamara, the cameras, finding that shot of the scoreboard, so we don't have to try and stick our head out through the window, which was your previous home for a couple of World Bowls championships here at Burnside.
2008, 2016.
The little bunker.
Yeah, in the bunker, below ground level. This Takapuna side, Brendan, very, very strong side all round. Because if you look, skipping the 4s, Wendy Jensen, of course, former New Zealand player. And Lisa Parlane, very interesting player, of course, who years ago was part of the New Zealand development side. And this year has been an outstanding form. And they've got a very, very strong side.
Yeah, they performed very well in the pairs, Lisa Parlane and Doreen. They won 4 of their 5 matches here at these National Interclub Sevens. Of course, you may have noticed that some of the teams have played 5 games, some have played 6. That's because those with the sections of 7 started on Thursday. Those with sections of 6 started yesterday.
So again, we see Kristen Buchanan's bowl just drift through the head. Selena Smith holding the shot. If I think back to the Somerset Nationals, Brendan, Lisa Parlane had, in my mind, one of the matches of the Somerset Nationals up against Taylor Bruce in the singles, and it was Taylor Bruce that won that match by 21 shots to 20. I think it might have been in the last 8 or last 16, but a real fantastic game of singles. And Lisa Parlane, very, very good player, good shot player, and good to see her in good form. And the interesting thing about Lisa Parlane, Brendan, I'm not saying for one moment right here now that she's a New Zealand contender, but when the North Island side is announced, I wouldn't be at all surprised if her name is in there because of her ability to play at the top end of a side. As we see, Christine Buchanan is going to draw the shot here, sits in behind the jack, does she? I'm not sure whether it beats the Parlane bowl. The
Smith bowl. Might get an indication here from our marker,
indicating the marker that it is looks as though the back bowl from his viewpoint.
Yep, here we go. Thank you, Selena. She wanted to know the same question, the answer to the same question that we did. Who had the shot? And it was that last bowl of Christine Buchanan. So Selena Smith knows what she has to try and beat.
So the blackjack woman, Brendan, with the retirement of Jo Edwards and the non-availability of Mandy Boyd as an example, and Kirsten Edwards being unavailable. As you watch Smith, this is a great bowl from Selena Smith, going to sit on the shot bowl.
That's perfect. Knew the bowl she had to beat and just sat right on it. All smiles all round, as they usually are for Selena Smith.
Very cheery player. So the blackjack side, the women's side, are really short of one back-end player as we watch this bowl of Buchanan's just going to come back to the centre line but just drift by. So Lisa Parlane to me is a player of, I'll put it this way, of interest.
So have a little look at this. Marcus certainly thought it was just one, but Selena Smith wants to have a bit of a look. Yeah, I think
satisfied? Just the one?
Just the one. So 5-0. Selena Smith leading Christine Buchanan. Takapuna leading Queenstown in this singles matchup in our women's quarterfinal we're bringing to you. Queenstown top qualifiers from Section 1. Takapuna runners up in Section 4.
It's interesting, Brendan, a few years ago when the Interclub, the last time this event was played was actually at the Nine Club, and it was taken off the calendar for a couple of years, and it's the one event, well, along with other events, but this is one event certainly that the clubs around New Zealand certainly wanted to have this national Interclub or an Interclub competition where this could start at club level, go through to you win your region or your centre, and you're through to the national final, and it's the Ranfurly Shields type of bowls for club bowls, and it's great to see, and it's all the centres are here, which is fantastic, from the far north to the bottom of the South Island to right at the Invercargill. They're all here, and that's sort of endorses what people think of this event. As we see again, Selena Smith draw right on the jack, but not to be outdone. Drew inside the bowl to Christine Buchanan and literally drew right on top of the jack. Shorter length end this end from Selena Smith. And I'm sure
high quality bowls, as we'd expect with these two. Selena Smith, obviously decorated player at national level and internationally now, and Christine Buchanan in Central Otago. Do you say 42?
41 centre
titles.
Won the champion singles 2 weeks ago to give her total 41, which is outstanding. But if we want to talk about outstanding, in fact, Peter Ballas was telling me at the National Indecent that Ray Park won the mixed pairs in Wanganui. In fact, he beat Peter Ballas in the final, and I think it gave Ray Park, I think the number was either 75 or 76 Wanganui titles that gave him.
That's
great
amazing.
bowl here from Buchanan as well, just touches the jack, and that sort of restricts the shot options for Selena Smith. She'll endeavour to try and draw it on the backhand. 4 very, very good bowls from
Selena Smith would have loved to have played that shot that Christine Buchanan just played.
That's right.
Christine Buchanan almost beat her to the punch, didn't she?
She took the shot away from her, which was on for Selena Smith, and this backhand bowl is going to be on the wide side. Of course, now Christine Buchanan can change her hand and draw to the bowl just slightly jack high there. Sit on that bowl, more than likely could well make 2 of it. If she got inside and touched the jack, could well make 3 of it. And Christine Buchanan, yes, going to that backhand side to try and either sit on the bowl or get a touch of the jack, and need to come back a long way from there. It's got the weight and line to get all the way back. It's going to go by the head. It's come back to the centre line, a metre and a half in behind the head. That's not all bad.
Interesting that both of them come down to look at the head.
Well, really, Brendan, from our view on the monitor, the draw really is, it would appear, the only option for Selena Smith. And there is the scoring chance there, of course, for Christine Buchanan to either sit on the inside of that, what would be the 3rd shot, and get a touch on the jack. I think the big thing for Selena Smith, and we talked about a possibility in that blackjack side where she'll play. The important thing with Selena Smith is she's showing what her strength is, and that's the draw. And she doesn't want to try and detract too far from that by trying to put too many shots in the bag, because playing for New Zealand, drawing will be where she sits, and it's about getting that consistency in your draw. And if you do that enough times, and this is a good attempt here, but she might get her own bowl out of the head, and does, but it's fortunate, sat on what was the third shot. So we might see now, Christine Buchanan may well change her hand again now to try and sit on the what would be the third shot of Selena Smith, but if you've got the inside and sat on it, would definitely make two, holding one certainly. And you can see the mat is being moved quite a distance up the green, and as we thought, Christine Buchanan going to that forehand side to try and get that result off the inside of that bowl, trying to coax the bowl into the head. Is it going to come back far enough? Good attempt, but no, it won't. But will be 1-2, Christine Buchanan.
Yeah, so on the board, she has the mat and jack now. So she'll decide the length that she wants to play it, and bringing the mat all the way back. By the looks of things, see the length she looks to play. Yeah, right back to the tee, right, the mat is.
So that you just about guarantee. Ideally, we should like to deliver the jack to, but out of the hand, it didn't look to be down towards the 2 metre mark, but it's close enough down towards the 2 metre mark. So certainly, I think that sort of gives the indication, Brenton, of the change of the different lengths that both of these players might well be comfortable with. Very quickly on the mat was Christine Buchanan. He's on a good line. This bowl breaks towards the head now, and the jack just going to go bypass the centre line by a metre.
Yes, there's no concerns about the speed of these greens despite the rain we had this morning.
Burnside, of course, known for preparing and presenting good greens. And of course, no doubt at the end of this event, the winter maintenance program, I imagine, will get underway. There's another good opening bowl here from Selena Smith, just drifts by the jack. You'll see it just sitting slightly jack high on the forehand. Christine Buchanan will follow that. So all of the natural surface greens, I would imagine, around the countryside will start their winter maintenance program any day. And just missed a touch on the jack. The marker was fairly sure as well that it was going to draw as a toucher, but just slid by.
I suppose one of the surprises in the women's section play is that the Canterbury representatives, Canterbury 2017, did not make it through as the hometown favourites.
And a good side too. There's a number of good players. And it's interesting that Kiri side, Brenton, that the fours, the skip of the fours is in fact Jill Fraser, who was the skip of the Auckland women's fours side when they won the Intercentre Championship, and Howick will now move to Kiri and skipping the Kiri fours side. It's this bowl of Christine Buchanan's, and this sit outside the line. I'm sure the bowl of Selena Smith's white coloured bowl still be shot. Not one of those bowls to date, all drifted under the centre line. And as we spoke about at the Intercentre, Brendan, with playing the three disciplines, getting the singles win under your belt as your first so the first part of the winning stage is so important, because it just makes it that much different. Otherwise, you're playing the other boards, you're playing the big board. So the singles event is winning the singles is a great start to endeavouring to get those two wins.
Well, we saw that with Southland winning the men's title for the first time at the National Winter Centre.
Still,
as Christine Buchanan's got used to taking the mat down the green. Selena Smith just saying, I've got one more bowl left, Christine.
Still one to play yet.
I'll have to take that mat off you. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, with Craig Merrill's really set up that Southland victory, that historic Southland win, by beating Andrew Kelly, Seamus Curtin and Jamie Hill in the singles. And yet when he got here for Gore, who a lot of people would have thought would be great contenders for the men's, given that a lot of that Gore side contributed to the Southland team. Merrilees, Sheldon Baggery-Howley, Elliot Mason.
There was 4, I think, of that Gore side, the Gore side that were in that winning Southland combination.
And yet they have not made it through. So Gore missed out from Section 1. They finished on the same points as Te Karo out of Manawatu, who have made it through and will play Elmwood Park in the quarterfinals at Fendleton. So head to the Bowls New Zealand website later today. We'll have full results of all the quarterfinals for you. And there's women's quarterfinals that are happening here at Burnside Bowling Club.
Out comes the measure.
First measure of the day. To decide this, whether it is
Christine Buchanan.
1 or maybe potentially 2.
Christine Buchanan was confident she had the shot, but no, she hasn't. There's a Selena Smith bowl in behind the head. That was shot.
So Selena Smith has another 6-1. She now leads in this first 221 singles matchup. And our National Interclub 7 women's quarterfinal. Queenstown up against Takapuna. Got a great spread of centres in the quarterfinal action. Central Otago, North Harbour here. Also on this green, Wellington and Waikato. Nelson and Far North. And Auckland and Bay of Plenty. And women's quarterfinal action. So strong presence from the North Island. Yes, 6 out of the 8.
6 out of the 8 in the women's post section.
And it was a all women's final, wasn't it, in the National Inter-Centre. Of course, Nelson, who won the women's Inter-Centre title. A lot of their members in the Nelson Club, as well as being in the Nelson Centre. Joe Edwards and Val Smith. Other strong combinations. But it's great to see. It's all about the clubs at this tournament. And, you know, whether you're a decorated international player or a national player, just trying to perform for your club and wearing your club colours, extra special.
Well, some of these clubs, of course, as well. There's stories with each one of these. A number of these clubs, like Mount Maunganui, because come about from a merge. Well, not come about. The club's always been there in Mount Maunganui, but they moved to their new complex and took another club in there as well. And of course, we had the Nationals there last year. Browns Bay have always been a pretty strong side in the North Harbour centre. Been
also hosted Nationals as well.
They certainly they did. And Stoke, well, what can you know all about Stoke? North East Valley, a great history of both at club and representing Dunedin. Stokes Valley, who are more than likely, I would say, Brendan, would have the best side in the North Island from all the Seamus Curtin, Finbar McGuigan, the Bryan boys. They've certainly got a lot of talent sitting there.
Lance Pascoe.
At Stokes Valley. Lance Pascoe's there now. And Hinuera and the Waikato, who have always been strong. You know, they've got the Settle brothers, Kevin Smith, Bruce Milne. They've been around for a long, long time. Elmwood Park, of course. Elmwood Park came out of a new club. Well, Elmwood was always there, but after the earthquake, the club literally got destroyed and they built the new complex there. That was, of course, the Andy Curtin Club of years gone by. And Gary Lawson's, of course.
St Albans?
Yeah, they came together. There's Batonk there as well, and they've got a multi-sports complex there now at Elmwood. And of course, Takaro from the Manawatu is now a merged club as well. So each one of the clubs over the last few years have got have got a story about them, as we see Buchanan holding a couple of shots here, but won't in a moment possibly if Selena Smith gets the inside and does got the inside of the shot
bowl from Smith once more.
Perfect weight, perfect line.
See Wendy Jensen just waiting next to the scoreboard. She's the skip of the 4 for Takapuna.
There's a pretty good reply here from Christine Buchanan. Is it going to hold up long enough to get to the jack? Yes, it does, and sits right on top of that may well make 2 of it. So 2 magnificent bowls.
It's great to see. You can do, Selena. I can do better.
Just drew neatly down to the jack, did Christine Buchanan.
We'll see if we catch the scoreboard to see. The scoreboard will be updated shortly by one of our volunteers here at Burnside. Great to see them all in their club colours, the red and green, Burnside Bowling Club, and helping out here this afternoon, as they will no doubt be helping out tomorrow as well, when we bring you a semi-final from 8:30 and a final from around midday.
Great workers within the Burnside Club, Brendan. Know they hosted the World Bowls here in 2008, 2016, Asia Pacific events, Trans-Tasmans, and they've always been great supporters, great bunch of workers. As we see Christine Buchanan just draw down to the jack, just jack level. So we'll see that board in a moment.
Oh, here we go. So it's a 2, and it should be a 6. You can see the scoreboard up higher. It is 6, so it should be reading 6-3. That but hasn't been updated. But as you can see, just higher up below Selena Smith's score.
Just sitting alongside the scoreboard straight. We just talked about the World Bowls, Brendan. Sitting alongside it, there's the great Bill Fowley from the Burnside Club, who was the tournament manager for the World Bowls in 2008, 2016, and was also then seconded by World Bowls to go to Delhi, and he was the man behind the setting up of the Bowls complex in Delhi for the 2010 Commonwealth Games, and has been to the forefront of a number of the international events, in that one of the organisers, the manager of looking after these big international bowls events.
Yeah, I went to that facility over in Delhi for the 2010 Commonwealth Games, so I do wonder what it is now. But
I bet it's not a bowling.
Yeah, it certainly looked out of place in a city like that.
Yeah.
As other venues like the Velodrome, I wonder what that is now as well. They spent so much money.
Well, it was interesting. They
local government there.
It was looking like at one point that they weren't going to have a complex for the bowls, and Bill Fowley got seconded over there to touch on the jack by Christine Buchanan. Yeah, Bill got seconded over there so as that they could make sure that they were going to have a bowls venue in place. And literally when the team started practicing before the 2010 games, that was literally the first time being used.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it?
So on the backhand, it's Selena Smith. So going to get all the way down and trying to get inside the Christine Buchanan bolt, which would be line second shot, but Christine Buchanan holding 2 at this point. And she'll try to draw out to the inside. If you can see the Selena Smith bolt sitting out to the side of the head, you can draw inside that bolt. That would certainly be another counter for the Queenstown singles player. Makes her way back to the mat, so I'm sure we'll stay on that safe forehand side.
Let's see if she picks up the mat and brings it with her. No,
she
remembered this
time. Yeah. Trying to stay on that line though. Looks as though it's going to be under the line, Brendan. Should be disappointed with that, because the head was certainly very, very much open.
Yeah, would have loved to have capitalised on that. Yeah, made a good start to this end, and Selena Smith's been a bit off, and a chance to really close the scores if she finished with another good bowl. Put the pressure on Smith with her last.
Possibly the only advantage of that short bowl that Christine Buchanan played just may
force up a bit on that side, isn't it?
It just closes that draw up fractionally, and the danger is, of course, you go too wide and your bowl won't come back. It's sitting literally on the draw line.
So he's going to stick with the backhand though here, Smith. So backing herself to get around that bowl. And she certainly started wide enough. Now, has she got the right weight? As unfortunately, it's going to move one of her bowls a bit closer, but looks like it'll be 2.
Certainly looks like 2
to Christine Buchanan.
It all tightens up now.
Yeah, it certainly does by our count. Just one shot in between it now. Selena Smith leading Christine Buchanan 6-4. 5.
Well, it's 2, Bill. There's 2 up on the chalkboard, so
there it goes. Really appreciative of the volunteers here, club members at Burnside Bowling Club. You couldn't tell, but it is a very chilly afternoon.
With no breeze.
I think it was only meant to reach a high of 12 or so. Seems a bit more sheltered over this side than the other side. There was a fair amount of wind earlier. That was really adding to the chill in the air.
See this first bolt of Christine Buchanan's finishing literally jack level with a metre aside from the jack. It's a big logistical exercise, these sorts of events, Brendan. Now 27 teams for men and ladies, transport, greens, accommodation, catering.
Oh, in a lot of cases from all different clubs, so you've got upwards of 50 clubs in action here. Yes, North East Valley are in both men and women, as were Henueta, and I think there was one other.
West End.
West End were in both, were they?
Yeah. Right, both in the men and women, and was the men looked as though they were going to make their way through, but must have faltered in that last round, which can happen.
But otherwise, they're all different clubs, so you're right, a huge undertaking with these events on. Burnside, though, used to putting on big tournaments, as you mentioned, with those 2 World Bowls in recent times.
Yeah, they're big logistical exercises, markers, umpires and chart room people, all sorts of people. So they do a wonderful job, not only here at Burnside, but around the clubs of Christchurch who have been looking after this event since Thursday.
Pendleton is hosting the men's quarterfinals. Papanui.
Good bowl here from
Rangiora.
Selena Smith right in behind the jack.
Rickerton, I think, as well. Yeah. So a number of clubs are making this reality.
So Christine Buchanan definitely down on the head, and this is looks it's going to be under the centre line, short of weight as well. Just needed another bit more green, another touch of weight. Definitely 1 to Selena Smith, who now goes to the forehand, the Takapuna player.
Hello.
Of course, the Takapuna side managed by Graham Doreen, who does such a wonderful job over there in coaching in the North Harbour. Another good bowl here from Smith, going to sit on a shot bowl. It does. Sits right alongside the jack, certainly piling the pressure on here. And the only shot here for Buchanan's to follow that draw line, trying to either get to the shot bowl or the jack. So happy if we get second shot. No, that's going to be narrow and under the head.
Yeah, she'll be disappointed with those 4 bowls there. Not up to her usual standards, especially the standards that have got her right back into this contest after Selena Smith was at 5-0. Yep, 5-0 she led early on, and since then it's been 5-1 to Christine Buchanan, but she could be in danger of dropping a 4 here. Has this got enough weight on it?
Is it going to get enough? May well.
I think that's enough for third, isn't it? Just whether that shorter bowl of Smith is the 4. Certainly 3. Will they do a measure for 4 here? So 2 are taken away. I think that third one surely.
I definitely like that third one out to the side there, Brendan. There.
It comes to a measure for the third. Christine Buchanan, well, just looking at it with the eyes, wanted to measure to confirm. So Selena Smith scored at least 2. Has she scored 3? Yep, 3.
It was.
Drawn in the air by Selena Smith.
Thank you, Selena.
9-5.
Well, the disappointing thing there for Christine Buchanan is she'd got herself back right into but scoring that 2, just won the difference and dropping a 3 straight afterwards. At the 2 very, very good bowls from Selena Smith. Of course, Smith the last 3 years has been a very, very consistent performer at the national level, both the singles and pairs. Won the pairs in Wellington, in Christchurch with her friend Caitlin Ince, and got beaten in the final this year in Auckland.
Also made the final of the fours.
Final of the fours, of course.
As well, Alexandra. So another very consistent season from Selena Smith. Was it quarterfinals? I think it was from memory in the mixed pairs.
Yes,
with Sheldon
it was.
Bagley
With
Howley.
Sheldon Bagley Howley, yes, it was quarterfinals. So good opening bowl coming from Christine Buchanan. Going to sit right on top of the jack. It might be unlucky and moves it towards the Selena Smith bowl, but the touch of bowl just rolled over. So it'll be the shot to Christine Buchanan, just sitting neatly in behind the jack. Selena Smith, a great attempt here, trying to get to the jack. Has it got enough to just going to fall low on weight, only by a couple of feet. So Christine Buchanan now remain on her forehand, trying to get under the Selena Smith bowl to draw confident into the head. Don't think she likes that one. And the danger is, of course, when you're endeavouring to play under that bowl, that you're going to cut your green, because that bowl, of course, is sitting right on the centre line. Selena Smith can afford to play under that bowl of her short bowl with a yard of weight to shunt, and she's certainly endeavouring with that line to be under it, all right. Just a matter of the weight. It's going to be under the line.
I think it's going to find a similar home to the last bowl of Buchanan's.
I think from Buchanan's point of view, it's a higher percentage shot, I think, on the backhand, to try and at least you can you can come down a natural draw on the backhand, endeavour to sit on the Selena Smith bowl. She's going to come right to the centre line. It's a great attempt. It's a very, very good attempt. Now, in fact, Selena Smith may well consider playing with that yard and play with a wee bit more weight now, Brenton, because there's literally a 2-bowl target. The option actually, I'm going to stay on the forehand. Or she might have run it on the backhand, but she needs a wee bit more weight to play down that line. And good attempt, but I think going to run into her own front bowl. And
I was going to say, it's going to move it into quite a handy place with the angle of that bowl. That is just stolen the shot with a bit of fortune, that must be said.
That was a bit fortuitous to get that bowl flush and just roll it. 2 rolls into the head.
Always could have been a possibility, yeah, and that's why Buchanan didn't want to hit it, because that could have happened, and it's happened for Selena Smith. So now where does this leave Buchanan with that head looking the way it is? She play with that weight?
Yeah, there's that forehand reaching shot, which is endeavouring to play, but it's under the line.
So it should just be 1 to Smith, but it's another to her. And that will make it 10-5. Confirmed there by our market. 10-5 now. Selena Smith leading Christine Buchanan. Takapuna leading Queenstown in the singles. We have the pairs and fours alongside as well. I'll see if I can quickly poke my head outside and see what the scores are in the other 2 matches. I think in the fours, which I believe are alongside us, it is 3-0 to Queenstown after 3 of the 15 ends, and it looks like we're about to see an update in the scoreboard in the pairs. They have now completed 5 ends, and just waiting for the scoreboard to update there, but certainly Queenstown had made the strong start, and Queenstown are leading Takapuna in the pairs 4-1, and as I said, in the fours 3-0. So Queenstown down in the singles, but up in the other 2 disciplines, early stages of this women's quarter-final here at the National Interclub Sevens at the Burnside Bowling Club in Christchurch.
And the other quarter-finals, of course, which are also being played here. We've got Nainai up against Hinuera of the Waikato, the Nelson Club up against Kerikeri from the far north, and Carlton Cornwall of Auckland up against Nongataha from the Bay of Plenty. And in the men's quarter-finals, being played at Fendalton, Mount Mongan will be playing Browns Bay of North Harbour, Stoke of Nelson playing North East Valley of Dunedin, Stokes Valley of Wellington playing Hinuera of the Waikato, Elmwood Park of Christchurch playing Takaro of the Manawatu. And of course those semi-finalists, they will be here tomorrow at Burnside, as will of course the women's semi-finals, as we see Christine Buchanan's opened with a toucher with her first bowl. I think Selena Smith, we'll see in a moment, may well have moved that.
So the Wellington.
And she did.
Bay of Plenty and Waikato and also the North Harbour centres will be happy. Both
very much so.
Their men and women's clubs are into the quarter-finals. Great work for Hinuera to get both the men's and women's, firstly coming through Waikato and then also coming through section play here, both the men and women's. It's great for that small club south of Matamata.
I can tell you now in the fours, it's all locked up now at 3-3 in North Harbour v Queenstown, and North Harbour just picked up a 3. I just saw on the board that change. So down again is Christine Buchanan after a superb draw shot from Selena Smith. And this is going to be under the line.
Yeah, as you touched on before, this singles rubber in particular is so important. Usually finishes first.
Does, yeah.
Usually. And you can really set it up for a team. It really takes the pressure off. It means you only have to win one of the other two disciplines, whereas if you lose it, you have to win both, and it can be really difficult.
And psychologically, it makes it gives you such a big start. And here's Selena Smith. Is it out wide enough? Coming back now towards the centre line, and it's going to draw down at the centre line to where the shot bowl is. How far is it going to go? Just goes by. It'll be third shot. Because the singles here up to is 21, not 25. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the chances are, yes, it's going to be quicker. Yes, it's going to finish first. So it certainly does give you a big tick when you to get that first win under the belt.
Yeah, I believe so. 21. Traditional. See if I can see the scoreboards for the other. I was just going to look at the scoreboards for the Nainai Hinuera quarter-final, which is taking place on the screen as well.
Good attempt here from Christine Buchanan, just trying to draw to the Selena Smith bowl, just goes by only a couple of inches, but will still be one shot to the Takapuna player. And we've seen a 3, a 1 and a 1 in the last 3 ends from the current blackjack member Selena Smith, and now got an 11-5 lead in the race to 21.
Yeah, in that Nainai Hinuera contest, 1-2 watch certainly in the singles, where it's Lisa White up against Deb White. So Lisa White, former blackjack, against Deb White, who was named in that squad for the World Bowls Championships, which of course haven't happened yet because of COVID. Lisa White leading 5-2 in the first to 21. Looks like Nainai are also ahead in the other two, or they're ahead in one of the other two disciplines, and the fours leading 7-0, but in the pairs they trail 4-3. 7-0 after 2 ends and 4-3. It is Hinuera leading Nainai after 2 ends. Still early days.
Interesting that going this way now, we've seen Selena Smith elect to use she's using the forehand coming down this way, and I think it's got some more consistency of getting back to the centre line. And you see her first bowl jack high, but certainly on a good line back to the jack, whereas the first bolt of Christine Buchanan's on that forehand side went by the head under the line with another yard of weight.
Yeah, have you seen our new scoreboard here, Kevin?
Look at this. Oh, this is full marks to Tamara and Erin. Look at this multi-scoring.
Yeah, so you got obviously the singles, which is closest to the names. So Takapuna leading 10-5, and the pairs, Queenstown leading 4-1, and the fours all locked up at 3 apiece.
Well done, multi-scoring.
Nice little innovation, of course, with the inter-centre. The same kind of situation, so it's great that we've been able to bring that in.
Christine Buchanan draws the shot on her forehand, just rests on what is now the second shot bolt of Selena Smith, with the, what would you call them, light grey speckled white bowls.
Yeah, with the fingernails to match.
Yeah.
You would have noted the nail polish there, Kevin.
Yes,
you were talking to me about it pre-game.
Yeah,
you quite liked
the white nail polish. Very, very, yeah.
Yeah.
And Selena Smith showed them to me as well when I went out there before. She's very proud of her matching bowls and fingernails. So, Christine Buchanan holding shot. It's on a good line again towards the jack. How's the weight? Is it going to get far enough? Yes, it will. Going to get past the centre line. Gets a touch on the jack. Sits inside the Selena Smith bowl. That'll be 2 shots for sure to the Queenstown player. Last bowl now of Selena Smith leading 11-5. Playing her fourth bowl. Of course, ends don't count. It's just the race to 21. Selena Smith 2 down on the head. On the backhand. Changes the hand. It's going to stay on that wide side. And will remain 2 down with a bowl to come from Christine Buchanan. Of course, the last 3 ends ago, Christine Buchanan picked up 2 shots and couldn't capitalise to get that third. Here's a chance here. No danger. Just to stay on that draw line. And drag the score back.
Yeah, eat away at this deficit because got away from her a bit. She did get just one behind at 6-5, but the last 5 shots going Selena Smith's way. So great opportunity here.
It's on a good line again. This bowl as it breaks down towards the head now, towards the jack. We'll get another touch on the jack again, and it's 3 shots, well played. Oh, may only be 2.
Might only be 1, in fact.
Even. Got a touch there. On
two said the marker. So 2 are taken away.
Oh, she got the touch.
Unfortunately, didn't want the touch on the jack.
No, played a perfect bowl.
Already holding 2. And yeah, that's when you're not rewarded for a good bowl. That's just unlucky. We saw Selena Smith with a bit of luck earlier. Now a bit of bad luck for Christine Buchanan, but she'll take the 2.
Oh, absolutely. Drew
11-7.
Drew a touch it right on the jack and just more than likely went half an inch too far.
Christine Buchanan trailing Selena Smith.
Is she going to lose that? Was heading towards past the 2 metre mark. Certainly the jack was. No, there it is, right on the 2 metre mark. And that's the length that I'm sure that Christine Buchanan. The mat is on the 2 metre mark. And the jack sitting on the 2 metre mark. That's the length that should certainly like to play.
Ditch to ditch length.
Hands open with a good bowl, really. It's going to come by the jack. Comes back past the centre line.
Maybe by a metre. It's finished up. Just went below the screen. Our shot. But won't be far away. See how Selena Smith adapts to this longer length.
That's it. Going to come up short of the jack, so it would still be.
Yeah, still favour the Buchanan bowl.
Still favour the bowl behind the jack, the Buchanan bowl on the forehand. Plenty of room though. Got the bowl out. A pretty good arc towards the jack. How far is it going to come back? It's coming back now towards the centre line and the jack. And this This is a good bowl, going to finish literally jack level just outside the 2 metre mark, and that's certainly the shot.
Still plenty of room though for Smith.
Got a metre really to
try and come through this little corridor. He doesn't want to run into a bowl though. Doesn't, just slides by, and that might be just the shot, almost being jack level. The bowl of Selena Smith's.
You'd favour the select. Well, looks different when you look down at here, but good reply here from Christine Buchanan. Going to get all the way down to the jack, is it? No, it's not. Needed a couple of more rolls. Was certainly on a good line. Asking the marker is Selena Smith, who's got shot. And he may well say it's a measure. So there is clearly told. It's still the bowl of Christine Buchanan, just outside the jack, just high of the jack, which is the shot bowl.
It's great being able to obviously hear the players and hear them pose the questions, and then we get the answers from the marker.
So here's Selena Smith. Has it got the weight? Don't think so on that backhand side. So for Christine Buchanan, really, Brendan, beat her last bowl, or is it just draws inside what was her, which is the third shot. Give her another counter on the forehand side. Or she's coaxing the bowl to come back. I think it's on the wider side. Because if it gets past this bowl of Selena Smith and behind the jack, may well make a counter. And it got past the bowl and fell inwards and sits literally jack level. Not sure. It's another bowl close for, well, it's in the counting area for sure for Christine Buchanan. Trailing Selena Smith 11-7 in the race to 21.
Selena Smith only has one of hers really in that area. Very lonely. Obviously doesn't want to move that, but will back herself to grab the shot herself.
Big thing here for Selena Smith is just to take the visual spot to where that shot bowl is, to be drawing it just inside it, and that's what Selena Smith's endeavouring to do here. Just to draw inside this bowl.
Has she got the weight? Well, that's the question.
No, she hasn't, but it was certainly the line, Brendan. That's the line that needed to be on.
It was a great effort. Made it second. Oh, looks like it was two.
Looks like it was two.
Takapuna North Harbour over Queenstown's Christine Buchanan. Very tight contest this one, as we expected. Two very strong players. Selena Smith, a past champion of the women's singles, the nationals. Christine Buchanan, 41 centre titles.
Yeah, Christine Buchanan has just lost the jack.
Yeah, it's not what she wanted to do. She
definitely not what she wanted.
Enjoyed that longer length, and we've tried to repeat the dose. Straight away, Selena Smith goes, well, I'm going to firstly move that mat forward a bit. And we'll try and play a shorter length, the length that I'm more comfortable with, and see how you go.
And it's certainly going to be. It's going to be a lot shorter, in fact. So you can clearly highlights, Brenton, the length that both players want to have got their best confidence with, isn't it? It's for sure. There's a good opening bowl here, though, from Christine Buchanan. It's going to be over the head by a metre, but it's a good line, or two metres. Selena Smith now is electing to follow the track of Christine Buchanan's on that forehand. Scoring 2 consecutive twos, has a brace of twos for Christine Buchanan. Selena Smith's bowl is going to come all the way back towards the centre line in the jack, and it does, and just sits in behind the jack. Very good bowl from the Takapuna player.
Yeah, what we come to expect time and time again from Selena Smith, that's for sure. Obviously you have the pairs and fours taking place as well on the 2 rinks alongside this one. And in the fours, Queenstown now leading 4-3 after 6 of the 15 ends. And in the pairs, Queenstown now leading 6-3.
So Selena Smith now endeavouring to add to the count. Needs to sit inside this bowl of Christine Buchanan's, and Will comes right back to the centre line. 2 beautiful drawn bowls there, right to the centre line from Selena Smith, and getting the due reward, holding 2 shots. And indication of body language from Christine Buchanan. Looks as though she thought she was under the line. She's going to draw the shot. In fact, here, Brendan going to sit inside. Is it? Yes, it will. Gets applause. Selena Smith will go to the backhand. Good chance to sit, roll the bowl, make 3 shots of it for the Takapuna player. On the backhand. It's on a pretty good line, this bowl. It's on a very good line, this bowl, as it breaks towards the head. Couldn't get it much better than this.
Oh, wonderfully done. Turns 1 into 3. Perfect from Selena Smith. And now following this one down quickly into a delivery, Christine Buchanan. She started this one out too wide.
Doing its best.
Not a bad effort, but I don't think it's going to change the count. No, it's not. So Selena Smith now a chance to turn this into a 4.
It just highlights, though, Brendan, that if you get those bowls close and you're back to the centre line, you give yourself a really good scoring chance. And Selena Smith took that with open arms. Now a chance to draw to the head and make 4 of it. And if she is successful, jumps out to a 15-9. So it's got to be a big end. This well played from Selena Smith.
Yeah, end of this. We will bring an update from the other green out the front here.
And it's going to be close as Selena Smith.
And that'll be a 4.
Look at this. Well played by the Takapuna player.
15-9. Wonderfully done from Selena Smith, the blackjack. She restores that big cushion. 6-shot advantage now. As I mentioned, we have some scores from the other green here at Burnside Bowling Club and the other women's quarterfinals here at the National Interclub Sevens in the singles and the Nelson Kerry matchup. Nelson leading 10-3. Of course, that's Joe Edwards in the singles and the fours. 3-0 to Nelson after 3 of the 15 ends. But in the pairs, Kerry are leading the pairs 5-2 after 5 of the 18 ends. And in the Carlton Cornwall Nongataha quarterfinal, in the singles, Carlton Cornwall leading 10-3. They're also leading the fours 4-3 after 5 ends. And after 6 ends in the pairs, they are leading 5-3. So, very strong start for Carlton Cornwall.
So, well played. I'll mark down of that 13th end of Selena Smith, and she certainly managed that head and got those 2 bowls so close with the first 2 bowls, then had the chance to rest out the very, very well played bowl by Christine Buchanan and rested the bowl out, and then of course drew another one with the last to make 4 of it. But Christine Buchanan now drawn a toucher with her first bowl. You'll see the jack now just moved off that centre line. And I'm sure we'll see Selena Smith endeavour to get down inside, draw it down inside her bowl, which is low of the jack. But 15-9, it's a nice break. So on the back end, Selena Smith will try and get underneath her second shot bowl to get down to the jack, certainly on a line, but just going to get the front bowl, is it? No, it's not. This is a great attempt from Selena Smith. Have a look at that.
Wow, we've seen some great bowls from both players, but especially Selena Smith. Last end was an absolute clinic, and this end, after Christine Buchanan had a great bowl, Selena Smith tops it.
Well, it's what we spoke about before, Brenton, with Selena Smith, and she's done it now twice in this game, backing her ability on the draw with consistency of getting back to the centre line. You're going to get results, and that's exactly what she's done on two ends now, and that just makes a big difference and must give you confidence when you know that you're playing those shots. The bowl that she rested out on both the last two ends of Christine Buchanan's has literally only been a few inches away from the jack, and just played with draw weight to move the jack or move the bowl, and it's a compliment to and the confidence, of course, that Selena Smith has in her draw.
And back to that draw on the forehand now, Smith. Trying to keep away from all those bowls on the backhand side. Looks like a decent line again.
Oh, great attempt. Another bowl on the head. As you could say, a couple of years back, if you were talking about a shortcoming in Selena Smith's game, was her more than likely consistency and not getting back to the centre line. Here's a run shot from the Queenstown player, unlucky. Christine Buchanan got the shot bowl all right and moved it out to the side, and I think the Selena Smith bowl went out there somewhere as well. There's another bowl somewhere. Might have gone in the ditch. A run shot from the Queenstown player. And the great thing that Selena Smith has got into her game now, and this I'll put down to her coaching and her own work that she's doing, is the consistency of getting back to the centre line on the draw, whereas before she didn't have that same consistency. But of recent times we've seen that consistency and confidence in her game of being able to know that she's got the ability. She doesn't have to go scratching around searching for shots. She's got the ability to draw and draw to the centre line, and it's evident in today's performance to date.
Just taking her time here.
Yeah, this they're asking. So we were looking for that other bowl before, and Selena Smith just asking about it, and in fact it was a toucher, and it was rolled into the ditch after that run shot of Christine Buchanan. We'll get an idea in a moment.
So we can assume that Smith is holding shot.
One would assume so.
Because there's nothing else really close to the ditch. Was there? There's obviously, it depends obviously where in the ditch it is. We'll see here, you can see just bottom right hand corner, that's where the jack is. And that's gonna finish in the ditch. Oh, it's not a great line.
Not a great line, all right, for sure.
Needed probably a metre less weight. Should have been right on target.
So Christine Buchanan, our assumption that the touch-up in the ditch is the shot bowl. We'll get an idea in a moment. Brendan's having a look out the window.
It certainly is. The naked eye.
There's a good attempt here, though, from Christine Buchanan, but none it falls short.
Christine Buchanan just asking if it was, in fact, a toucher.
Oh, there was definitely a toucher for sure, but...
And just seeing the mark there. So it should be 1 to Selena Smith. One more. So 16-9. Chanel leads. We have an update from the other quarterfinal, which is taking place on this green here at Burnside. This is the Nainai Henuera quarterfinal. The singles, Lisa White and Deb White, locked at 6 apiece now. that's going to be a singles contest to keep an eye on. And the fours, 9 leading 8-2 after 4 of the 15 ends. The pairs, Hinueta are leading 5-6 after 5 of the 15 ends. So very tight contest there. That's all square at the stage, of course, with that singles match being level. And then with our beautiful scoreboard here, we can tell you that here in the singles, it is Takapuna, Selena Smith leading 16-9. It's all locked up in the pairs, 4 apiece. And Takapuna now leading in the fours, 7-3. So this is going very well for the North Harbour Club. Queenstown out of Central Otago.
Wendy Jensen, they were 3-0 down, weren't they, in that fours game, and they're now in fact leading 7-3.
They have been not having the greatest time here at these National Interclub Sevens. Wendy Jensen's 4 only won 2 of their 5 games, whereas the Jane Anderson Skip Queenstown quartet won 5 out of 6.
Well, there's no doubt that the launching pad that Selena Smith has created right throughout from Thursday afternoon onwards, and this is the consistency that I was just talking about before, Brennan, and this is the confidence now which Selena Smith has got into her game, and to me it all goes well for her future. She's certainly got that real consistency in her draw. Not to be outdone, Christine Buchanan now, and a sit inside the bowls will go just drop past. In fact, will still be 1 to Selena Smith.
Fair effort though by Buchanan, not far away, and getting a nicer touch off that Smith bowl, taking the shot herself.
The other thing that Selena Smith did this year as well, sorry Brendan, midway through the season, she changed the delivery, which in my view has certainly helped with her consistency, because before she sort of had what I would term as like a bit of a scoop delivery right at the last minute at the release of a hand, and that just gave the tendency for a hand to move around a bit and thus cut a green from time to time. She's now, a change of delivery just as means that her hand is staying now closer to her body, which means she's going to get that natural arc in a bowl, and you can see the consistency here with these 3 bowls to date, because they're all literally at the centre line, and it's more, you see the hand opening on that delivery point, and it just lends itself to a better outcome.
How difficult is that for players to do, to change their delivery that they've maybe done hundreds of thousands of times?
Well, it is quite challenging.
How big a process? How long does it take to really get it to where you're comfortable with it?
Well, I know at the Nationals, Selena spoke to me, and she still wasn't comfortable. Well, not so much comfortable. She just wasn't getting the consistency. And we spoke about, you just stay with it. Don't change anything. Just stay with it. And I think the evidence of it is here. Now, the important thing from Selena Smith's point of view, if she was fortunate enough to make the New Zealand side, which goes to England, her previous delivery was inferior to playing on heavy UK greens, because you've got to release the bowl. You can't sort of, here's a bowl, good repeat here, trying to rescue the situation, not going to, and it'll drift past. At least 2 to Selena Smith here.
2 confirmed, so she's potentially just 1 end away. Selena Smith, 18-9. She now leads Christine Buchanan. Go on, Kevin.
And so what it means is that playing on the English greens, and like Mark Cameron and Mike Kernan and I were talking about this earlier on this afternoon, your delivery has to be out in front with your whole arm going forward, because you do have to put obviously more weight into the bowl, because you're playing on, let's say, 9-10 second greens. So if you're playing with a scoop delivery and you're playing back from your front foot, you're not going to get that delivery to follow through on the bowl. Now, if you notice now with your bowl, you'll see it on the back end, that the hand will come out and the release. See the hand opens up, delivery comes up, and she comes up with the delivery, stays down on the mat. But and you'll see now the effect that does, because straight away that's coming back to the centre line. It might sound very
interesting,
technical, but
I didn't know she'd change it. Obviously, when you're talking through it, you see her delivery a lot that I have seen it this summer. I forgot what her old delivery was like.
And her old delivery as well, Brenton tending to be right out in front of the, literally right in front of the leg, whereas now it's outside, so it means just like playing golf, you get in that natural, just get in that swing, and you see the hand come up, she stays down on the bowl. And there's been very few bowls in this game which I would call would be ineffective or wayward bowls. Just getting the bowls consistently within a metre. And if you can do that consistently, if you're leading for a team or playing number 2 in a team, it's certainly, especially you've seen the Australians in that, Brendan. Consistency off the front is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've obviously commentated her games internationally before, Selena Smith too, and you're right, that consistency probably hasn't been a strong point. She certainly produced a number of great bowls, but then there'd be maybe 1, maybe 2 each end, which would be, not effective bowls as you call them. So this has been certainly on display here, those effective bowls time and time again from Selena Smith. One of the reasons why she's in a very commanding position in this singles match.
And playing the cover out on that side in case of that jack trail, and no doubt, depending on what happened to this bowl, then Selena will endeavour to try and draw another, because Christine Buchanan's only just gone by the jack on those 2 attempts on her first 2 bowls. This looks as though it's going to be under the line. Now Selena Smith's going to have a chance to draw another shot to hold game, and she will have. So the draw for Selena Smith is still, she draws just inside that last bowl. She's looking to see whether.
Asking the marker to have a little look to see.
Well, looking at the side bowl, I think if that bowl of Christine Buchanan's, regardless, the scoring chance for her is still on that hand, because if she was to sit inside the front of that bowl as well, Brendan would still make 3 shots of it and hold game with 1 bowl to come from Christine Buchanan. But I must say that I'm really encouraged. I've been not so much a supporter, but a follower of Selena Smith. Selena Goddard right from her early days, and at long last, from what I've seen today, she's got what I would say that control, confidence and maturity in her game, and that all goes well. And there again, out on that nice line to come back towards the centre line in the jack, and she's going to do just that and sit in behind the jack. That'll certainly count.
It's very close between all those bowls, really. Hard to know exactly who has the shot, really.
Well, for Christine Buchanan, it really needs to stay on that hand. She played two very good bowls there. 2 of the 3 been very good on that side, and now she takes a line out to the side, the jack level bowl of Selena Smith's. Literally, wouldn't give may not give a shot, but would certainly give her second shot. And on the forehand will be the Queenstown singles player, trailing 18-9 down on the head in this race to 21. And as we said, Brendan trying to get inside that bowl, which is going to do just that, just what we were talking about. Going to sit on the bowl. Yes, she will.
Yeah, well done. Christine Buchanan needed that. So has that made 2 of it? That's the question.
May well have that touch. Yeah, out comes the tape.
So 1 has been taken away, so it's certainly going to be Buchanan with the mat and the jack. It's just a question of whether she's got more than...
This side bowl was always the question bowl. This is the bowl, of course, that Selena Smith was asking the marker about before she played her last bowl. And they could literally go around those 3 bowls, Brendan, couldn't they, to see?
Yeah, they're all very close. Christine Buchanan, well, I've taken that one away. So Selena Smith doesn't think that one's in the area.
Well, it's close, actually.
Between all 3 bowls.
Close. So back to the...
I love it when another player does a measure as well.
Just in
case they get a different result.
This umpire. Back to the Selena Smith bowl. And on that, it is the umpire.
Yeah, umpire's going to be called upon, and we don't need to get that one then.
So definitely one. One's been taken out, the shot bowl. Christine Buchanan, who drew the shot with her last bowl. And of course tomorrow morning here at Burnside we will have the semi-final of both the men's and the women's Interclub finals, and then of course immediately after those will be the finals. This event started of course Thursday afternoon for some of the sections who have played that extra round, and they played in 3 rounds of course yesterday and a further 2 rounds today. So we'll go back to the Smith Bowl.
Yes, this is the 3rd round that most of these players are playing, unless they had a bye at some stage today. The first round
dead end
at most, so I think it's just going to be one then.
Yes.
Umpire thought they were absolutely dead level. Incredible. So 1 to Christine Buchanan. You don't see that happen too often.
They needed Alex's laser measure.
They did, to see if there was just the tiniest millimetre of a difference between those 2 bowls, but couldn't be found. So it's 18-10 now. Selena Smith leading Christine Buchanan. Takapuna leading Queenstown. And the singles match of this women's quarter-final at the National Interclub Sevens.
Good recovery by... Well, it's got some more results coming through.
Yep, from the other green here. And the Nelson Kerry quarter-final. It's Joe Edwards leading 16-4 now in the singles. It's all tied up in the 4s at 3 apiece. And Kerry in control of the pairs, 11-2 after 7 of the 18 ends.
So that's going to come down to the 4s match.
Yep.
That's the way it looks.
Very much looks like it at the moment. The singles going Nelson's way, the pairs going Kerry's, and the 4s all square. And then in the Carlton Cornwall Nongataha quarter-final, Carlton Cornwall is up in all 3 still and in a very strong position. Singles leading 16-4. 4s leading 10-3 and pairs leading 10-3 as well. 4s after 7 of the 15 ends, pairs after 8 of the 18. So Carlton Cornwall, the Auckland Club of course, host of the Somerset National Singles and Pairs earlier this year.
Well, very good side of course. They've got there the 2 New Zealand age group players, Ashley Jeffcoat and Kimberly Hemingway. Also in there is the current New Zealand Pairs title holder, Lisa Prideaux. Bev Crow is in the side, who of course has won in New Zealand 4s and Pairs. And Karen de Jong, another very, very well performed player. And Linda Ralph, who I think has now played in 2 New Zealand finals, definitely played in the final of the Pairs a couple of years ago in Auckland. Very, very well performed player. So the Carlton Cornwall side, very good combination, as we see. Selena Smith holding the shot. There's that board. So it's looking good for Takapuna at these stages. 8-3, 9-4 and 18-10 for a semi-final berth. Long way to go, but of course Selena Smith can give them the big boost here as we watch this bowl of Christine Buchanan trying to get to the jack, just going to go by.
Yeah, and Takapuna were in the same section as Carlton Cornwall, finish a very close second to them. I think it was just 1 win the difference.
Well, there was nothing separating them all the way through, really, was there? They were sort of win for win type thing, and I think it was after they wanted to be going into the last round, they were literally all square on points, I think, and I don't know about actual differential of that, but certainly it was very close in that section.
Yeah, it certainly was. There was just 1 win in between them, and I think in the end Carlton Cornwall finished with 36 points and 33 for Takapuna. It's 3 points for a win, if you're wondering how it works. So differential was not needed to separate them. in the end, but very close between those two. Of course, they'll know each other relatively well.
It's a really good bowl there from
Players.
Selena Smith, finishing lower the jack and cutting that line off. And you'll see that Christine Buchanan didn't like it at all and it left her hand. And so now asking Selena Smith, in fact, is her last bowl counting? Because there was a jack trail on there for the Queenstown player. And the front bowl, the shortest bowl of Selena Smith, which is on the centre line and only about 2 feet lower the jack, put it right off the line for Christine Buchanan. And this could be game, depending on this last bowl of Selena Smith. Definitely holding one.
It looks good.
Here's that consistency that we've been talking about, Brenton, that Selena Smith has got into her game. Turns the bowl over. That would definitely make two.
Certainly two, and you'd favour the third as well. Is it shake hands time? Two taken away, and now Chris Buchanan, and Selena Smith accepts it's just two. So moving to match point 20-10. Selena Smith of Takapuna leading Queenstown, Christine Buchanan. I can bring you up to date with the other quarterfinal on this green here at Burnside as well. That's the Nainai Hinuela quarterfinal. And the singles, that's going the way of Lisa White now over Debbie White 9-6. In the fours, Nainai up 12-5 after 6. And they're also up in the pairs 8-6 after 7. So Nainai, who absolutely strolled through section play.
Well, that game has also changed
very strong
around
position
in the last few ends. So Selena Smith delivering the jack, sitting on 20, and this bowl here, this short bowl, will likely be the worst bowl to take that she's played in this game. Been very impressed. You know, she scored in the last 6 ends, a 4, a 1, a 2, and a 2, and certainly has played very, very well as the Takapuna singles player, but not to be outdone. Here's Christine Buchanan just going by the jack, and as we've said before, Brenton, so often that last one can be quite a challenge. And you'll see now Takapuna leading 8-5 there. You can see that in the fours after 8 ends, 8-15. So this could give Takapuna a very, very good launching pad. The bowler Selena Smith may not quite make shot. No, it doesn't. In fact, it's going to fall low of the jack. So Christine Buchanan will go back to her forehand. A touch on the jack would be a bonus. Look wide out of the hand. How far is it going to come back towards the jack? It's breaking back now, but has it got the weight to come all the way back? We'll sit jack level. So here's Smith again on her backhand. Just really needs to turn her own bowl over or draw past her own bowl. Look wide though. Is it going to come all the way back to get to the bowl of Christine Buchanan's? Has it got the weight to get all the way back? Needs to get past this bowl. Does so. Well played from the Takapuna player. Drew round her own bowl and certainly made shot of it. Christine Buchanan now on the forehand, trailing 20-11. See the bowling rag movement there, trying to coax the bowl into the head. Not going to get a touch on her own. The important thing here for Selena Smith is to more than likely perhaps get a cover bowl.
Yeah, certainly wants one of her bowls amongst those Buchanan bowls past the head.
She holds the win. This doesn't have to. No need to add to the head.
Yeah, and don't want to drop a potential 3 or 4.
So a metre over the head on that backhand side would get the Selena Smith. Would mix those bowls up. Here is Smith on the backhand, the Takapuna singles player, and that's exactly what she's doing. Brendan trying to get down to these 2 bowls behind the head of Christine Buchanan's, and she'll be happy with that. Well, Smith sits in between the 2 bowls.
Very fair effort. So if Buchanan can execute, move the jack back to those bowls, more than likely not going to drop now. Potential 3 or 4. So
Takapuna now sitting on the win. Good to get their first win. Needing 2 wins, of course, to win the match. This will give them a great start if Selena Smith can hold on to this shot.
Stay with us. We will broadcast the next game to finish if this is indeed the end here. And looks like it is. Shake hands time. So Selena Smith taking out the singles 21-10, and Takapuna is indeed first on the board in this women's quarterfinal matchup at the National Interclub 7th. They take out the singles, Selena Smith 21-10. It's now all about the pairs and the fours. And stay with us because we will endeavour to move our cameras into a position to either bring you the fours or the pairs, most likely the fours, given that's on the rink just alongside this one.
Interesting, Brendan. I made a mark down here on the 13th end, and that's when Selena Smith played those 2 superb bowls to score the 4. Took it at 15. From there she scored a 4, a 1, a 2, a 2 and a 1, and there was only the 1 scored from Christine Buchanan, and that's where Smith, to me, showed that consistency, that maturity and game management that I'm delighted to see the way how she played. She certainly changed that delivery, and it's working for her for sure. And that was a very convincing display. And now moving back to the fours. As
we have the fours alongside this one. So this is the Queenstown 4, skipped by Jane Anderson. So Jane Anderson and Wendy Jensen alongside each other there. Jane Anderson, Andrea Dowman, Liz Anderson and Kath Mann, the 4 for Queenstown, and the quartet for Takapuna skipped by Wendy Jensen, Robin Walker, Adele Ineson and Connie Matheson there 4. And it is Takapuna leading 8-5 in this contest. Queenstown, last update, we're also up in the pairs as well. So they only need to win one of these 2 to advance to the semi-finals. Takapuna up in the other 2, not Queenstown. And after winning the singles, they have the first point on the board.
So Lisa Parlane, of course, skipping that pairs combination for Takapuna. Robin Walker, of course, playing 3 for Wendy Jensen. Comes from a very good bowling fraternity. Of course, her husband Brett, also part of the North Harbour side. He'd been part of the North Harbour rep side. And Robin's grandfather, in fact, out of the Manawatu, was a very, very good player, represented New Zealand, and in fact was one of the inaugural inductees to the New Zealand Bowls Hall of Fame. So there's certainly bowls within the family, that's for sure. And it is Takapuna holding the shot. Wendy Jensen, of course, former international, played the Blackjacks last year, or the year before. Forget about last year, of course. Played in the Trans-Tasman.
Played in the Asia Pacific Championships.
Asia Pacific, multi-nations. A recall back into the New Zealand side.
So you can see our scores on our scoreboard now. So the singles have been completed, 21-10. That going Selena Smith's way over Christine Buchanan of Queenstown, and the other 2 are live scores. So the pairs, Takapuna leading 9-4, and the fours, which we will now endeavour to bring to you. Just you can see Tamara there, just moving cameras into position to bring you coverage of this. So stick with us here on Sky Sport Next. I hope you are enjoying our coverage of the National Interclub 7s quarterfinals. We will be with you until we find an outcome, and this to see who is going through to the semi-final tomorrow morning. scheduled to begin here at Burnside around 8:30. So if you have enjoyed the coverage and you want to see more, make sure you tune in from around then tomorrow morning. We'll have the semi-final and then the final. And we'll have the men's and women's finals play at the same time from around midday. We will be broadcasting one of them for you here as well on Sky Sport Next. And I think the forecast is for a beautiful day, and what it has turned out to be here in Christchurch after a very wet, damp start. We arrived at Burnside at around 10 o'clock and the players were off the green, and the greens had quite a lot of puddles on them. But shortly after that, they were back underway. I think Rangiora didn't actually stop. The weather was all right. It was
okay at Rangiora.
And Rangiora, but Fendleton, right Papanui and other places here in Christchurch, they had to halt play, so they had a bit of a time limit and shorter matches in the 6th round action this morning. But then a full round was completed after that, and now here in quarterfinals, our last 8 for both women and men. All the women are here now at Burnside, and the men are currently playing their quarterfinals at Fendleton. Just a reminder of those quarterfinals: it's Mount Maunganui up against Browns Bay, so that's Bay of Plenty up against North Harbour, Stoke up against North East Valley, Stokes Valley up against Hinuera, and Elmwood Park against the Karo. Elmwood Park, of course, out of Christchurch, Canterbury, Takoro out of Manawatu, Stokes Valley, Wellington, Hinuera, Waikato, North East Valley, Dunedin, and Stoke. Of course, what more needs to be said at the Stoke Club out of Nelson. Stoke past champions of this tournament, as are North East Valley.
So that's the 9th end finish now in this women's in the fours. The Takapuna combination up against Queenstown, and it was Takapuna that scored again after we saw Robin Walker bowl into the head to make shot of it for the Takapuna side. They play 15 ends.
Connie Matheson, the lead for Takapuna.
Of course, Connie Matheson won her way through to the quarterfinals of the New Zealand, the Somerset women's singles earlier on this year.
10-5 it is now. 10-5 after 9 ends. Takapuna leading Queenstown. So still plenty of bowls remaining. It just shows how quickly we can get through singles action. Comparison.
Connie Matheson on the forehand. It's a good opening bowl from the Takapuna lead, and it's just high the jack, just slightly high, but certainly a good start to the head. And Kath Ma, the lead for the Queenstown combination. Connie Matheson, the head wrap on, the gloves, in fact, different coloured glove on each hand.
Is that a fashion statement like Selena Smith with the
could be
the nails? Or?
So it's Connie Matheson there going to the backhand. Certainly looks to be on that wider line. It breaks its way back now. Won't get back to the centre line. Had good weight. Kath Ma was only a bowl low of getting the shot with her first bowl on this, the 10th of 15 ends. And you can see the pairs next there. That's the Lisa Parlane combination. They're up as well. As you can see on the big score on the scoreboard there, 10-5. So things looking good for Takapuna at this midway stage of this quarter-final.
Yeah, it might be neck and neck as well between the pairs and the fours. Which finishes first? Fours, I think, have 6 ends remaining, and the pairs have 7. Pairs is usually a bit quicker than the fours, obviously fewer bowls.
So the skip here, Jane Anderson, saying to Liz Anderson, come on the forehand. You can either turn one of the bowls of Jane Anderson, turn it into the head. The Kath Ma bowl, which is sitting just out lower the head. So Liz Anderson, the number 2 for Queenstown, endeavouring to reach up to those bowls, but in fact is going to be well under the line and well lower the jack. And as we've spoken about so many times, Brendan, it's about getting those effective bowls early on in the head, which sets your scoring opportunity up. Otherwise, you tend to be chasing shots later on in the head. And at this stage, on just the 10th end, the Queenstown side haven't had any effective bowls on the head. As we see, this bowler Ineson's is going to come back to the centre line. It's 1.5 metres behind. Now, Liz Anderson again will endeavour to get to turn one of those front bowls into the head, one of the Cathmar bowls, to make shot of it.
More scores coming from the other green here at Burnside. So first point on the board for Nelson in their quarterfinal against Kerry Kerry. No surprise Joe Edwards taking that 21-4 in the singles. So Nelson in a strong position there, but Kerry Kerry are putting up a fight in the fours and the pairs. It's 4-all after 7 ends in the fours between Nelson and Kerry Kerry are leading in the pairs 12-9 after 10 ends. That pairs has tightened up from our last. It was 11-2 previously to Kerry Kerry. So Nelson have come back there. And then the Carlton Cornwall Nongataha quarterfinal. Carlton Cornwall leading the singles 18-5, leading the fours 10-7 after 9 of the 15 ends, and leading the pairs 10-5 after 9 of the 18 ends. So Carlton Cornwall remaining in a strong position in that quarterfinal. Of course, the winner of those 2 quarterfinals will play each other, as will the winners of these 2 quarterfinals on the green that we are live streaming from here at Burnside. So whoever wins this will play the winner of the quarterfinal between Nainai and Henueta tomorrow morning from 8:30. Our semi-finals will take place, to be followed by the final from approximately midday. We will be streaming a game from each round tomorrow for you here on Sky Sport Next.
So Andrea Darman got a touch of a bowl onto the jack, and now holding 2 shots of Queenstown. Walk up, playing with weight, trying to reach through the head on the backhand. Down, looking at it closely, is Wendy Jensen. Looks as though it's going to go past, and does. You'll see the 2 shot bowls sitting there. And Dowman will play her second on last bowl on the 10th end. Trying to add to the head. In fact, it may be 3 shots. That Queenstown, in fact, are holding. I'm sure we'll see.
On the screen in the singles, it is now Lisa White leading Deb White 11-7. This is Nainai up against Henueta in the fours. Nainai in command 17-5 now after 8 of the 15 ends, and in the pairs a slender 9-8 advantage after 9 of the 18 ends. So control the pairs, the singles, control the fours rather, but the singles and pairs pretty neck and neck. So Henueta, while they're down in all 3, are not out of it, that's for sure.
So the first bowl of Winnie Jensen's under the head, and reality is for Jensen now, the weight that she played there is really not going to give the result that she ideally wants. It's one of those heads where if you try and come under the line with only half aggressive weight, your bowl is just going to disappear under the head, as we saw with Robin Walker's in the first bowl of Wendy Jensen. So Jensen needs to be with more weight, more aggressive down that narrow line. Definitely holding a couple, maybe 3 is Queenstown, as we see Jane Anderson play her first on this, the 10th of 15 ends. Has to get all the way back to count, and may well do so. Some applause from her number 3, and just you're going to attack it. You've got to attack it quick with weight. Half weight's no good. Got to attack it. And that's definitely got more speed than the first bowl. No, it's going to do exactly the same thing. Mike gets
Finds
nothing.
the gap.
So the number 3, Liz Anderson, checking to see what's counting. We'll know in a moment. She doesn't. So the shot, of course, now for Jane Anderson is to draw to where she drew inside her last bowl. And that fact on the centre line could be a Takapuna bowl, just the indication there by Andrea Dowman. So here's Jane Anderson definitely holding at Queenstown and doing to draw another counter. Needs to be inside this bowl, and if it's inside it, it'll count, I would say.
Two's taken away. Now we do a measure.
Now comes the measure for the third. Sitting on the centre line is that bowl, and
3
it was.
So good hit back there for Queenstown, and they cut it to 2. So Takapuna now leading in the 4s, 10-8. We've already completed the singles that go in the way of Selena Smith, 21-10 over Christine Buchanan. So Takapuna with the first point on the board in this match.
It was a big end really for Queenstown, Brendan, in the overall match situation. Got them right back into the match, because that's 10 or 11 ends gone. Not sure.
Yeah, 10 ends completed now, and of course they have to win both the 4s and the pairs after dropping the singles. So getting closer in the 4s is a good step, and they can only do what they can do in this 4s matchup. Jane Anderson, Andrea Dowman, Liz Anderson and Kath Mann. And hope that the pair of Margaret O'Connor and Deborah Lloyd can turn things around against Lisa Parlane and Anne Doreen.
So just slightly under the line was that first bowl of Kath Mann's on this, the 11th end, with Takapuna leading 10-8. That's the Wendy Jensen skip side. So Connie Matheson certainly out on a wider line. Looks pretty quick as it comes down. Wendy Jensen's sort of trying to get it to slow down. It will stay up. Goes past the 2 metre mark. You can see the jacks sitting right on the 2 metre mark. So here's Mann, Kath Mann. And that looks, it's on a wider line. That's going to go by with, they're trying to get it to slow down. It goes past the 2 metre mark.
Well, must have stayed up, because there's a applause there, wasn't there, from Jane Anderson.
Connie Matheson. And it's interesting, Brendan, the contrast. You have a look, and it's about what's. I'll go back to Selena Smith, although this bowl still going to go over the head, but just the difference in the delivery styles and why. You can see if you watch, for example, the Connie Matheson, where the hand comes in and out, and that's why now Selena Smith has got that consistency, because just like a golfer, everything's the same every bowl, and it just makes such a big difference to create those effective bowls that we talked about. So Liz Anderson now, this looks a better weighted bowl. This bowl, the Queenstown number 2, and it will be, comes right down towards the jack, sits just lower the jack. So quickly does Wendy Jensen say to Adele Einarson, Play down there on your forehand, reach the bowl, move the jack. It's all in our favour. And definitely going to be well under the line. And running away across the head. So here's the chance now for Queenstown to build a good scoring head for them. Good scoring opportunity for them. Holding 2. Trailing 10-8. And that bowl, compared to the first bowl, is ineffective. So you'd heard Winnie Jensen indicating to Dale Ineson down there. You see the shot bowl just fell over, just covers the jack up slightly. It's on a better line. May Winnie Jensen say, you better hear. Adele's going to get to the jack, certainly on a good line to get to the jack. Takes the bell back to the Matheson bowls in behind the head. Always looked good, that bowl of Adele Ineson's. It looked good out of the hand. There's the indication. Yeah, 3 down. 3 down now. Queenstown. It's a well played bowl from the number 2 from Takapuna. Playing with a lot of weight. Needs a bit of luck here on that front bowl, and gets the front bowl.
Yep.
Well, let's say, I know that's
2.
Yeah. The skip says it's a good result. It was fortuitous that it ran into the front bowl. So Robin Walker now on her forehand. And that's well under the line.
Probably a bit heavy. This time you can be at the bowl. You get a shot.
So I got a bit of fortune with the previous. This time it's going to be under the line. It's going to finish in a pretty handy position. Weight-wise, but just didn't quite have the line right. It came under that line. I think it actually may have been collected out of the ditch there in the end by Jane Anderson. Now Robin Walker, their second, number 3 for this Takapuna quartet.
Interesting, Brendan. You look at this here, and that's exactly what Whitney Jensen said. Don't mind if you move the jack, gets a touch on it, straight lined it, because the line with the bowl was sitting way short of the head. That was a perfect line down towards the jack, and we saw Robin Walker just got that right result, and that's more than likely, I'd say, made 3 of it in a straight line there.
A bit of work to do for Jane Anderson, that's for sure.
Because the bowl was sitting there before to run right onto the bowl and get a result for Queenstown. But the bowl of Robin Walker's has taken that shot completely away. So the thing for Jensen now, to play the opposite hand and not give any shoulders to the Queenstown skip for Jane Anderson to get a shoulder off, because all that's open here for Anderson is the draw. See that the Takapuna coach, manager, everything else, Graham Doreen, sitting there on the seat behind the rink, and he's certainly been a great advocate on the running factors. Jane Anderson trying to get the jack in the ditch, but
sounded like she got something, but not what she wanted.
Well, really hard shot though, Brenton. When you look at it, you look even from where we're sitting, there's not a full vision to the jack, so it's a really hard shot to play. You have to play that shot on the forehand to run the jack into the ditch. I heard Robin Walker say, well, let's not worry too much. We've got the back bowls in their back, and they have got effective bowls in behind their head. So the big thing for Jensen is to make sure that she's not jacked low, to give them a shoulder to rub off. This could be a big scoring head. After dropping that 3 before, 10-8, they can straight away push that break out for that Takapuna side after already winning the singles. And you'll see that bowler, Jensen's out just inside that short bowl, because that's the line. That's the perfect line, that bowl. So that cuts that line off, really cuts it off completely there now, Brenton. And the percentage shot here for Queenstown is to really follow that same bowler, Wendy Jensen's, and endeavouring to get second shot, because the last thing you want to do is you're going to play in 12 after this, only 3 to go, and you could be chasing the board by about 6 shots.
Yeah, big bowl this for Jane Anderson. Needs to at least cut the count.
Because Wendy Jensen's still got a bowl left.
Exactly.
So out on the backhand is Jane Anderson. More on the draw. You saw the hand come across the body there. At the delivery point, the hand came right across the body.
And that's where the bowl's going to end up as well.
That's exactly.
In fact, I think that's certainly made it 4, isn't it? If there was any doubt.
Turned the other bowl out.
Yeah. If there's any doubt, I think it's certainly 4 now for Takapuna. And Wendy Jensen, if she can just repeat her previous bowl, that'll be 5, and they'll lead by 7 with.
That's a big scoring
4 to play.
Big scoring break, especially when you've got the singles already in the bag.
Yeah, and you're in control of the pairs as well. This was the one that was a bit more in the balance after a good couple from Queenstown on the previous end.
13-5, as you see on the big board, the big scorecard up there from Tamara. 13-5, and here's Jensen. Now this will be narrow because she's under that. You can look at it all we like, girls, but it's going to be under the line because it was.
It holds up though. It might still count. It's not going to. Or is it?
Well, it might. Actually,
check level. That might still count. Yeah, I think that may well. Yeah, it was well under the line, but it didn't really matter because they've got all the other bowls close. And there's nothing close. I think that's a 5.
Yeah, it was a 5.
Confirmed. So Wendy Jensen did enough with that final bowl, and it's 17-8. Oh, sorry, 15-8. Excuse me. 7-shot differential. That is a big end. Mark that down. The 11th end for Takapuna in the 4s. It's a 15-8 advantage now.
Well, that all came because of the bowl that Robin Walker played and moved the jack, came inside the bowl and moved the jack and set the head up very, very nicely for the Takapuna side to take advantage of, and they did.
We have an update from the other green here at Burnside. And after Joe Edwards won the singles 21-4 for Nelson against Kerry Kerry. Kerry Kerry are leading the other 2 disciplines. So what they need to do, if they're to knock out Nelson, one of the big sides, they're leading in the 4s 9-4 after 9 of the 15 ends, and in the pairs they're leading 14-10 after 12 of the 18 ends. So a boil over could be on the cards there.
And see Connie Matheson draw a touch it.
Now the quarterfinal on the other green here at Burnside is Carlton Cornwall leading. Nongataha have won the singles 21-5. It's all locked up now in the 4s, 10 apiece, and they are leading in the pairs 12-6. So Carlton Cornwall with the first point on the board against Nongataha there. So,
well, it's still, with the 4s tied up at 10 apiece and 12-6 after 11 of 18 ends in the pairs. That's still a chance.
Still hope for Nongataha. Sure. So Kerry that's sensing a boil over, and Nongataha, if they knock over Carlton Cornwall, there'll be an upset as well. But Kerry against Nelson, including Joe Edwards and Val Smith, 2 members of that Nelson centre side, which took out the women's national title last month at the Wilton Bowling Club in Wellington.
I think Val Smith is just skipping the fours. Is it?
I believe so from memory. I think Colleen Earle is skipping the pair from memory when I saw the teams a couple of days ago, which was slightly surprising for me.
Yeah,
given
this is a bit surprising actually.
They've spread their, I suppose, players. I thought maybe they'll just go, let's just try and win the singles pairs and then maybe don't have to worry too much about the fours.
Colin Earle, of course, was part of that winning Nelson side.
Exactly,
as well.
that's what I mean, with Val Smith in the pair, so I thought
correct.
they might have played together, but no, they've decided to, I suppose, split the sides.
They went very well as well, and they got that magnificent result in the semi-final, of course, against Wellington. And here's the Takapuna side in this fours, really now putting the pressure on with a front toucher from Connie Matheson. Adele Einerson drawing one just in behind the jack and leading 15 shots to 8 as we play the 12th of 15. And the number 2, Liz Anderson, is going to be under the line again, and this is where short bowls, ineffective bowls, very, very quickly we'll see the Queenstown side, who need to be scoring, they're really under the pump very early on this, the 12th of 15 ends.
It was all set up by Connie Matheson off the front, wasn't it, for
Certainly
Takapuna?
Was. Another good bowl coming in here from Adele Einerson, getting applause from Wendy Jensen. This is going to sit right in behind her first bowl, and at least 2 shots there for Takapuna.
The other quarter-final on this green is Nainai up against Henueta, and Nainai out of Wellington looking very strong against the Waikato Club. In the singles, it's Lisa White leading 14-7 for Nainai over Deb White. In the fours, 20-5 they lead after 10 of the 15 ends, so that's almost shake hands time there. The first point on the board for Nainai, I think, and then the pairs, slender advantage, 13-10. Nainai leading Henueta in the pairs.
Nainai, one of the form sides throughout section play, really holding the pretty strong position there in that other quarter final. And we see Takapuna marching towards, I think, a semi-final spot, leading 15-8 in this fours as we play Ian 12. And holding 2 shots on the head, and it's one of those heads here, Brendan, where you can't, it's a challenge to score. It's a real challenge to score with that front toucher.
Oh, you need to score, don't you, as you mentioned earlier, because there's only 3 ends after this, and even if it's just a 1 you're dropping, you're 8 behind. Absolutely. 3 ends to play. That is very difficult to come back from.
Wendy Jensen sensibly now controlling the match. Don't need any more bowls on the head. Let's draw to where the Queenstown bowls have been running under the head on that backhand side. They've been under the line, so saying to Robin Walker, let's get out amongst their bowls here and get some cover in case they are fortunate enough to get onto the jack or make some. So now that's forced, of course, change of hand here for the number 3, Andrea Dowman, trying to draw down to the shot bowl. That set up by Connie Matheson, was drawing that front toucher right at the outset. This has got some weight on it. It's going to, I think that's another Takapuna bowl that they collected, not that it really matters. As the skips change over, it'll still be Takapuna holding 2 shots in a dominant position, especially after winning that singles by a dominant display by Selena Smith by 21-10. But as Brenton said, are we in for a, what do I call, a boil over in Nelson versus Kerry out on the front green here, where Joe Edwards has already got 1 in the bag for Nelson.
Yeah, she was convincing when a 21-4, but Nelson trailing in the fours and in the pairs. Fours down 9-4 and the pairs down 14-10, going the far north centres. Kerry their way.
The Takapuna girls having a big chat. Don't chat too much, girls, and over complicate something which is quite simple. We'll just don't go near the head and just put some cover bowls in, because it's a very difficult head for Queenstown to get any advantage on at all. And all Takapuna need to make sure is they don't give them the opportunity to have an advantage on the head. So here is Jensen, former blackjack. Breaking in towards the head now, as long as it's over the head, and it is. And will count. Not what she wanted to go though, I can tell you that. It's Robin Walker's indicated net now. The difficulty here, Brendan, is I could say now watch the shot that you're actually playing here on the backhand. You're not going to be able to score at all, and it's a hope shot to try and get second shot, really, isn't it? And it's a very, very good attempt. It's just going to fall two and cut the back bowl out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting like what you're talking about. Surprised that Takapuna are giving so much thought to this.
Yeah.
They're dictating terms here. That they're holding shot.
Yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Just in this bowl, Jensen's is going to run into one of the front bowls.
Yeah, might have made it three.
An applause from Wendy Jensen. Well, now you might see
there.
Change of hand on the forehand, playing with a yard of weight through those bowls. There's certainly a shoulder there now with that bowl that Wendy Jensen just knocked up to come off. That's exactly what Queenstown are trying to do, but are they? They've got to be under that front bowl, got to be under it clean. They're not going to. And run into the front bowl. Another head gone, 12 or 15.
And it looks like three. Certainly two are taken
out.
away. I expect a third to join it though pretty shortly. Although Queenstown there, I think Andrea Dowman favouring the Queenstown bowl.
It's certainly that big mountain to climb though now, Brendan.
Oh, if it's 17-8 or 18-8, yeah, it's a big advantage to Takapuna.
It is. It's three.
Three confirmed, so a 10-shot advantage to Takapuna. Really, they have 1 foot and 4 toes in the semi-finals, you'd think, of that singles victory to Selena Smith over Christine Buchanan, 21-10, as you can see on our scoreboard. And now a 10-shot advantage in the fours, and there are 3 ends to play. 18-8 they lead, and they also are in command of the pairs. We should mention as well, 17-5. We'll see how many ends are completed in that, but
they must be getting down the board.
Yeah, 14 ends remaining. I've completed, so 4 ends remaining in the pairs. So I think it's very near shake hands time.
Well, it's unlikely, one would think, Brendan, that the pairs is going to go to 18 anyway. So
fours might not go to 15.
May not as well. So
Queenstown need to score on these next couple of ends to make last end a reality.
Good opening bowl from Connie Matheson, just past the centre line, 1.5 metres behind the head, and it's about, as Brendan and I have spoken about, it's getting those effective bowls from the lead and two. It's what sets things up. And this bowl of Kath Manns is going to drift past the centre line and go past. And the temperature, of course, we're now at coming up 4:45. You can see the temperature's dropped.
It never got that high though.
No, so it didn't have to drop very far, did it? It didn't have to drop from 26 to 22 or anything like that, did it?
My phone is still suggesting that it's around 12. It got to a balmy high of 12.7 degrees at 4 o'clock was the high.
Well, the good thing is the rain's gone away, Brendan.
Absolutely. That's the main thing.
That's a big thing.
I think what might be making it a bit warmer is the wind starting to change. So we've had a southerly for most of the day. A relatively strong one now, changing to an easterly, as it seems to do in Wellington this time, and then the nor'east is coming in.
Well, we've got a prediction for fine weather, of course, tomorrow, for finals day, which is good. And we in the old days you always used to work out that around about 11:30 in the summer, especially that nor'wester would come up, and certainly when you're playing, it makes a big difference when it comes up. As we watch,
thankfully we haven't had that today.
No. And down line it said, Wendy Jensen just saying your weight was great, but again, green off target. And really, this is the end that Takapuna can really, literally put this game to rest. And they score a couple here, 20-8, with 2 to go. It's good night news.
Yeah, it might not even be needed the way the pairs is going as
well.
Well,
that's right.
They might shake hands earlier there, especially if Takapuna pick up another couple on the next end with 3 ends to play after that end and that. And we may see this finish in the very near future.
There's this bowler with Del Ineson's he's just got a bit too much weight on, and it'll go by. Well, no one's got the shot really. You need the clothesline out really. Clothesline measure out to see who's got the shot. And we'll see whether Liz Anderson, she very quickly, body language off the mat. Don't know what that meant, but could well be the best of all of the bowls. I'm still going to run a bit further, but one would think would be shot within a metre. So Robin Walker. Now don't worry about the plane, Robin. It's not going to land on the green. Don't have to worry about this. And we are reasonably close here, of course, at Burnside too, at Christchurch Airport. Only just down the road here from Burnside. Question the line, how far is it going to be under the centre line, and will run away, and it does. Well, this is very sort of, average, one could say.
Yeah, I think that's been kind as well. Well, especially after what we saw in the singles, Christine Buchanan didn't play poorly.
No, she did not.
No. She was on the wrong side of relatively comprehensive scoreline, 21-10. You can see top left-hand corner in the singles because Selena Smith just played so well.
Certainly did.
And yeah, certainly not exactly the same standard that we saw in that singles. We're seeing here in the fours. Takapuna, from what we've seen, very impressive. Won the last 2 ends at 5 and a 3.
So Walker gets under this bowl to make shot of it, and does. And Drew underneath the jack level bowl, just got a touch on it. Was always in the scoring zone. So definitely 1 now to Takapuna. And Andrea Dowman will play her second bowl, and trying to get inside that bowl of Robin Walker's to make shot of it. Just in the shadow, it looks to be outside it, and it is. So I just heard Lisa Parlane and that Piers, obviously Takapuna holding the shots there, because I just heard Lisa Parlane say, I'll go down to the back, we've got no bowls at the deep on the green. So obviously one would think from that, assume from that Takapuna are holding the shots again in that the pairs match where they lead by 17 shots to 5. And to see the bowl there, exactly what Lisa Parlane's done. So obviously they're holding the shot. So Wendy Jensen trying to add to the count. And it's going to be under the line, but how far is it going to run? Hasn't got the weight, I don't think. Well, it might. I know, it'll still be just the one shot. That'd be the Robin Walker bowl.
Yeah, turned her back on that one. Wendy Jensen wasn't too happy that she didn't have the weight to reach the head.
And there's another 3 there too. I just heard them and indicated by Graham Doreen. Another 3 to Takapuna in the pairs.
Wow. They've got one more end, you'd think, and then they'll be shaking hands, and unless Queenstown can pick up a big number on the next end of that pairs match. So we're certainly reaching a conclusion in this quarter-final, and it's looking very good for Takapuna. Queenstown really needing a miracle both here and the fours and the pairs in the rink alongside, with the singles having already gone Takapuna's way, 21-10, as you can see in the top left-hand corner. You joined us late, Selena Smith, very comprehensive winner, very impressive.
Certainly set the whole match up well for the Takapuna side, with a very convincing and classy, consistent singles display. Jensen under the line, running away, and Robin Walker indicating that they're holding the one shot. So 20-5 now in that pairs match. It's Lisa Parlane of Takapuna leading 20 shots to 5.
And just dropped the one game, Parlane and Doreen in section play to get to the stage. Wendy Jensen, as I mentioned earlier in the coverage, they're 4, in fact only won 2 of 5, but they're looking on track here to win the most important game so far, and that's being in the quarterfinals. They're now up 19-8, and we have just 2 ends to play.
Well,
it's a race between these two to see who finishes first.
It is, but the interesting thing about this game, Brendan, when we crossed over, it was 10-8. It was,
we just saw a 2 score, didn't we? It was actually 10-6.
So
2 scored by Queenstown,
and then
since then
we've had these big numbers, 5, 3 and 1, and literally it's all over.
Blowing the game wide open. Yeah, we thought this was going to be the contest of fours, which could go right down to the wire, but Takapuna have said no, that's not going to be the case. They're well and truly taken command. 11 shot advantage, 2 ends to play, and really, unless Queenstown score 5 really of their own, you'd be expecting to be shaking hands.
Of course, the Nainai Hinuera game, that could go. That's still, the last time we looked, it was not the fours, of course, and Nainai were well in front, and the pairs were in front 13-10, and the singles were in front 14-7. So Nainai were in a comfortable, not a winning position yet, but certainly in a strong position. Of course, they'll play the winner of this Takapuna Queenstown match tomorrow morning in the semi-final at 8:30 a.m. We'll be live here tomorrow morning, of course, from 8:30, bringing you the semi-finals and then the finals of the National Bowls New Zealand 2021 National Interclub Finals, where 27 centres commence play on Thursday afternoon.
I think we can safely say that the fours for Nainai have won, because they don't seem to be on the green anymore. Look out there. So you can, given that the last update some 10 minutes ago was Nainai up 20-5 after 10 ends, I think they might have shaken hands earlier in that one. Lisa White now leading 17-8 over Deb White in the singles, and I believe that Nainai is still leading in the pairs. It is 15-13, 14 of the 18 ends played. So the pairs the closest of the 3 contests, but Nainai on the board.
Looking good for Nainai.
Yeah, to face Takapuna in the semi-finals tomorrow.
So we can safely say Takapuna are going to be the victors here over Queenstown. Takapuna Club, of course, on the shore, turned in more than likely now the dominant club in the North Harbour Centre, I'd say. A number of the leading players play out at North Harbour, although Browns Bay, of course, in the men's, they won their way through, and they're playing at Fendalton in their quarter-finals, so I'd be pleased with that result. Got up in the last round of section play, or round robin play, to make their way into the final, and Brenton's got the updates now from
Kerry still holding on against Nelson. So we already know that Nelson are on the board in the singles. That went the way of Joe Edwards, 21-4 over Kerry. This is a quarter-final taking place on the other green. Kerry are leading in the fours 11-8 after 11 ends, and they're clinging to a 14-13 advantage in the pairs. So Nelson fighting back somewhat there. They were 14-10 down, Nelson, so now 14-13, and it appears 14 of the 18 ends. And in the Carlton Cornwall Nongataha, Carlton Cornwall took out the singles 21-5, and they have slender advantages, so not out of it yet.
That's anybody's
Nongataha,
match.
fours 12-10, Carlton Cornwall leading after 12 of the 15, and pairs 12-11 after 13 of the 18 ends. And given we may not be able to bring you another update from those games again this afternoon, make sure you do check out the Bowls New Zealand website. In around an hour or so we will have all the results from the quarterfinals from both here at Burnside, and also of course the men's quarterfinals, which are taking place at Fendalton. Mount Maunganui taking on Browns Bay, so Bay of Plenty against North Harbour, Stoke of Nelson up against North East Valley of Dunedin, Stokes Valley of Wellington up against Waikato's Henuera, and Canterbury's Elmwood Park against Takoro of Manawatu in the men's quarterfinals. Have full results for you later tonight, and then of course we will bring you semi-final action from 8:30 a.m. here at Burnside Bowling Club from the #1 green here, and then a final from midday. And the men's and women's contests will both come to a conclusion. Beautiful weather in store in Christchurch tomorrow, so the weather should not be an issue. We'll be underway here on Sky Sport Next from 8:30. And Takapuna looking very strong, looking like they will be one of the teams in the semi-finals, looking to close this one out.
On this particular green, Brenton, it's safe to say Takapuna will be there, and Nine have got a strong chance with the way how the scoreboards look for them at this particular stage. But on the other green out the front, that's who knows? It's either Nelson or Kerry or Carlton Cornwall or Nongataha, because there's nothing between.
Nelson and Carlton Cornwall do have the points on the board, which is the most important thing. So I give them the advantage in both of them. But Kerry are leading the other two matches against Nelson, and Nongataha are right behind Carlton Cornwall in the fours and the pairs. So yet to be decided. Certainly not as conclusive as it is on the #1 green here. The action taking place on Burnside #2, and they have shake hands time in the pairs alongside us. So will they even bother completing this end? Looks like they may well do, but they will know that next door Takapuna have got their second point. They have won the pairs, and they're well in control here of the fours.
Yeah, well, they can put the bowls in the bag. I wouldn't even be worried about it now. Just be shaking hands, girls, and I think that's what's going to happen. I wouldn't be worried. No, you don't have to play, Graham. You can. The game's decided.
So they are going to continue.
Well, it's, to be fair, yeah, that's their right to do so if they wish to. But it's confirmed though that Takapuna have won their way into the semi-final after the pairs. The Lisa Parlane skip side had a convincing win playing with Anne Doreen. They had a very convincing win over the Queenstown combination, and with Wendy Jensen winning her singles, with Selena Smith winning her singles earlier on, that's confirmed the two wins for Takapuna and a place in the semi-finals.
So really just going through the motions here now. I assume they'll just complete this end though, and won't continue to play on for end number 15.
I won't say anything, but
sure, we have seen stranger things happen on a bowling green.
But I would say this time that we are right better than that. There's absolutely no sense in staying out there at all. I see Graham Doreen conferring with somebody over there. I don't know if he's conferring on the law. It doesn't matter. 2 games have been completed anyway. So on the drive is Jane Anderson. Don't tell me she wants to kill it and play the end again. I see why they got the shot out of that. But I think the pleasing thing though this afternoon, Brendan, and I don't want to harp on about it, but it was pleasing to see how well Selena Smith took charge of that singles match, and the consistency and game management and confidence that she gave right throughout, and that very steady drawing display. And that's what she did. She drew. She didn't try and play running shots under the head, and you know a player's got confidence when they do that, and she was convincing in my view, and pleasing to see.
And trying to finish it with an exclamation mark here is Wendy Jensen as it just slides through. Was not far away from taking the jack there. And already a bit of a celebration there with Robin Walker. A little pat on the back. Job's done here.
Don't play your last bowl. Don't have to. Well, she played it too. You can shake hands, girls.
Yeah, I'll see you.
And there it is. I know Queenstown are desperate to try and get the shot here, but it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. And that's a 3-0 result for Takapuna.
Yeah, we're not going to need to play the 15th and final end here. Takapuna, already the job done. Single, Selena Smith, 21-10. The pairs comprehensive, Lisa Parlane and Anne Doreen over Margaret O'Connor and Deborah Lloyd. And now Wendy Jensen, Robin Walker, Adele Einerson and Connie Matheson. Shaking hands with Jane Anderson, Andrea Dowman and Liz Anderson and Kath Mann. Here's Takapuna, who are the first side through to the semi-finals of the National Interclub Sevens here at Burnside. They await the winner of the Nainai Hinuera quarter-final. At the last report, Nainai looking pretty strong there. They had taken out the fours, leading comprehensively in the singles. Takapuna, congratulations to the club from North Harbour. First side through to the semi-finals, and what was, Kevin, a very comprehensive display in all three disciplines.
Oh, it certainly was. They played well right throughout. And it'll be a great semi-final though tomorrow morning, providing the Nainai get through, because Nainai have been very convincing right through section play. They've more than likely been in the women's section. Nainai have been the dominant side in the round robin play. So they will go into the final, semi-final tomorrow with a good record behind them. Of course, we don't know yet with Carlton Cornwall up against Nongata Harp and the Nelson side up against Kerry. We still don't know those results, the final results anyway. But of course, as Brendan said before, go to the Bowls New Zealand website in an hour or so, and all of those results will be up. And of course the men's as well, who are at Fendledon, but will be here tomorrow. So all the results will be on the Bowls New Zealand website as the results come to an end for the day.
And make sure you join us on Sky Sport Next tomorrow morning. We will have a semi-final for you at 8:30, followed by a final at midday as we complete our coverage from day 3 of the National Interclub Sevens here at the Burnside Bowling Club in Christchurch. We'll see you tomorrow.